In this video, sponsored by Bidding Classics, we're going to take a look at the Hubnut fleet for March 2023. What's going on? Head to the Bidding Classics website and there's some lovely cars for sale. You can see in this sort of area at the moment. See what's coming up soon and what you could bid on. We're going to start with horrific wind with Betty the AU Fairmont. She's getting sparing use this time of year because of the salt and also because of the fuel cost. Around here she's not very good, so I tend to just use her for longer jaunts. But yeah, she's up to 320,000 kilometers now, which is a number of miles. I forget which, somewhere around 200,000. But yeah, still an absolute joy to drive. I've got a loose heat shield somewhere, but she's due an MOT, so we'll go up for that and see what, if anything, she fails on. Hopefully nothing. And still this year I want to do a suspension refresh. So if you know your AUs, hello Australia, and you've got any thoughts on what might be a good idea to replace, as well as springs and shockers, let me know, because this is the year we need to sort that out. But yeah, she's just an absolute joy to drive, just so relaxing, so unlike most of my other vehicles. Moving in here, Giselle the GSA is still awaiting the fitment of an alternator. I have a replacement alternator that will be going in at some point, but it's been bitterly cold this week and we've had quite a lot on. I ended up involved with someone else's collection caper, so that's coming soon in the video. So Giselle has had to wait, and because Giselle's having to wait and it can't currently be driven, Elly the 2CV is also having to wait, but that's okay because she will just rust away. In the conditions at the moment. Bob is stuck in here as well at the moment. We don't want to go camping just yet. Miss Daisy is still back here, the Daihatsu Sirion, again off the road for March, so she's just having a bit of a rest. And poor Myrtle is just, yeah, poor Myrtle is still getting overlooked. I do need to go through all this mess and sort things out. We've got an AU wheel wrapped up over there that I still haven't managed to actually fit, so I just need to go through all this and get rid of all the dross and rubbish. Yeah, major tidy up is on the cards. Bella the Berlingo is in here just while we've got past the Picasso. There is no point driving Bella, but I'm going to talk about Bella more in a minute. We'll quickly talk about the Picasso, which isn't here. The Picasso, we found some issues last week. I popped into Tim at Cambrian Classics Limited and we found a few things. We're going to do a video update on that hopefully next week. I'm due to go in on Monday to rectify one of the issues, and then I've got to get some tyres fitted, which is one of the other issues. There's a few things to discuss there, so look forward to that. The Picasso has now hit 510,000 miles. We've done about 500 miles in it already. We have a lot more planned road tripping next week, so stay tuned for that adventure. Hopefully the weather will calm down a bit and it won't be too adventurous. But yeah, Bella the Berlingo, this is an interesting one. She's off the road for March, just while we got the Picasso, like I said. But clearly we've got some running issues, and I still don't know what. I think I'm going to have to get some expert help to understand what's wrong with this car, because bleep blooping down in the comments there, as Derek of Vice Grip Garage says, there's about 600 million things that have been suggested that it could be why this isn't running properly. I've got a suspicion it's injectors, but I don't know is the problem. So I could definitely do some help on that to try and work out what's wrong, because it's just not running as well as the Picasso. The Picasso runs absolutely beautifully, and that had an injector and some glow plugs fairly recently. Glow plugs won't affect the running, they're just a starting. It didn't like starting at all. But the injector one is interesting, and I do wonder if it's time for a set. I don't know how many injectors that Picasso's gone through in its 510,000 miles. Who knows? Maybe if you just keep fuel flowing through them, they stay nice and healthy. Whereas this may have seen more sporadic use. But yeah, at some point we'll get the Berlingo out. But I wanted to have a quick chat about it, because obviously the Berlingo hasn't all been plain sailing. And the whole point was, I mean, yes, it would take miles off Betty, the Fairmont AU, but it was meant to save us money. So did it? Okay then, let's just quickly do the costs of this. We got 750 quid was the purchase price. Cost of taxing it for a year is, I think, 315. I could be wrong, it's there or thereabouts anyway. Insurance is probably another 250, I think. I do have a fleet policy, but each car has its own policy within that group policy, so effectively your no claims applies across the board. on that, and then we've got the work, of course. I think I haven't got the invoices with me, but the suspension work and the cam belt and water pump jobs, 2 separate jobs, I think that came in at around £2,000. So that's a grand total of £3,315 to save money. So we've got our £3,315 pounds that the Berlingo's cost in a year. So if I take my 3315 and divide that by current fuel price, let's say 1.43, which I think is about right, 2,318 litres. So let's turn that into gallons now, which is stupid because the car measures in litres, but hey, we're British, we like to do things complicated. 510.6 gallons. So per gallon you can do 25 miles. So if we times 510 by 25, we get 12,765 miles. So that's what the Berlingo has cost. It has cost 12,765 Betty miles. And on the face of it, over 1 year, that is an abject failure. I would have been better off just spending the money on fuel, because of course I was already using Betty for some miles, so I'm going to ignore her running costs because she's an absolute staple of the fleets. But this car has been a complete failure in so many ways. But on the other hand, I really like driving it. It's really comfortable, it's really economical, and so even with all those extra costs it's generated day to day, and when the fuel price has gone up as much as £2 a litre at times, this has been very much the vehicle to use, because it simply uses half the fuel of Betty, sometimes even less than half, although diesel fuel is more expensive, so it's not quite as clear cut as it first seems. And we really like it as a family as well. It just suits us really well, very practical. It's more practical than Betty, and one thing I really like is that the footprint is so much smaller than Betty. So we can get the family and more stuff in this vehicle, but it takes up less space. So that actually means quite a lot. Betty is blooming enormous, whereas the footprint of the Berlingo is tiny, and the fact it crams all this practical space into such a short amount of external space is one thing I absolutely love. But yeah, the sheer economics, like most things related to cars, simply don't add up. It has been a failure in that regard, but it's hard to think of it as a failure. We've had so many happy miles in this car. We've done I think 11,000 miles since purchase now, and I mean, it's just a car that you just get in and go, and especially for local bobbing around, that's where the Fairmont scores particularly badly and would skew the stats. If it was just local mileage, the Fairmont is hopeless. It's doing 18 mpg around here, if that at times. If it's cold going up a hill, it is slurping the juice at the rate of about 25 litres per 100 kilometres, which is a lot. That is not good times. Yeah, there are definitely good reasons to have this car. But one of the problems is we've now got too much overlap on the fleet, especially now we've got the Charade back in use. The Charade is doing the local bobbing around that we were using this for, but now we've got the Charade, especially as Miss Hubnut is still learning to drive in it, and she's doing a great job. We've been doing a lot more driving over the past 2 weeks, and the difference in that 2 weeks is yeah, it's brilliant. She's so much more comfortable behind the wheel, which has always been a problem. That's why she's failed 2 driving tests, because she's just in a state of panic. It's a strange one driving, because you're judged on it when you really haven't done very much of it. So my plan is just to get her behind the wheel more. There's still issues. We were a little close to a cyclist yesterday. Passing stuff generally, I think, needs some work. But yeah, so much better with gear changes, with clutch control, observation. So she can see the cyclist, she just doesn't give him enough room. But we're working on that, don't worry. But yeah, it would be nice if other road users were a bit kinder though. We had some absolute idiot, some old lady in an Audi with a personal plate on it, right up her backside, to the point I had to turn around in my seat and stare at her and go, what the heck are you doing? At which point she did back off a bit. But yeah, why have people got so little respect for learner drivers? We were all there, we've all done it. It's just crazy. So very upsetting. So yeah, obviously Chemmy the Charade is another car that isn't here at the unit. for our one allocated space, we've got a Berlingo. No, we haven't got a Berlingo. Picasso, Fairmont, and a Charade. So our neighbours love us at the moment, but it does cause me some concern going forward, because yeah, rotating the cars is quite tricky, because Betty's too big to go in here unless I get rid of some cars, which believe me is an option. Bob needs to come out. Where does Bob go if Bob's not in here? That is a cause of concern. I don't know exactly what to do with Bob, because if we take Bob home, we've then lost even more parking at home. So yeah, it's difficult to know what to do. Giselle the GSA continues to beguile and frustrate in equal measure, as she always has done. I'm really looking forward to getting her back on the road, but I also can't help thinking maybe not the car for us. But then of the classics on the fleet, Giselle is the one. You know, we've had so many trips away in that car, and it swallows so much luggage. I mean, it's almost as practical as the Berlingo, which is crazy. It's probably cheaper to run as well, because the fuel is a little bit cheaper, and she'll do 40 to the gallon quite merrily. So yeah, lots of things to love about the GSA, but also lots of frustration too. I don't know what to do with that car. You love her. Quite a lot of you love Giselle. We can tell because we measure merch sales, and we sold a lot of Giselle merch. We sold a lot of Betty hoodies lately as well, so thank you very much for that. In fact, speaking of merch, let's get the plug in. I Love AU t-shirts are now reduced to £10.20 each, plus postage and packaging, and we can post anywhere. Australia is not a problem. Sorry, Germany still is a problem. We need to test that and see if we can send to Germany now, but anywhere else in the world, not a problem. We can do that. Yeah, we got the I Love AU t-shirts reduced. The I Love AU stickers are not reduced, but are still available. So yeah, show Betty some love, because remarkably, we're getting on for the anniversary of her arriving in the UK 2 years ago, which is crazy. You didn't know about it until July of that year, but she arrived on the 31st of March, I think it was. Might have been the 30th. And collected her from the docks on the 1st of April. So I was tempted to post a picture of me next to something else that had come in on the ferry and go, oh, is this what I've bought? But I was worried some of you would still go, oh, importing, and guess what it was. We managed to keep that secret for months. It was absolutely brilliant. But yeah, my love for that car shows no end. I absolutely adore it. But that's me done. Yeah, that's about it for the fleet. We've just got, like I say, Charade, Picasso and Betty on the road at the moment. Hopefully in April things will improve and we can start getting the classics out a bit more, have some more adventures. But yeah, road tripping in the Picasso coming very soon. I've got a collection caper with someone else coming up very, very soon. So lots of content coming your way. So thank you for your continued support. Hubnut.org if you want to buy lovely merchandise. I'll see you in a future video. Farewell.